Proud of the guys for grinding that one out. The guys played hard and made it a little bit harder on ourselves at times, it felt like, than we needed to, but sometimes the other team causes those things to happen. You down, losing the turnover battle 2-0 late in the game, and those kind of hurt us. And I just think, when you're playing a good team and it's evenly matched, all those little things are going to matter. I thought it mattered when, we scored the touchdown and we get an unsportsmanlike penalty and we kick off way deep and they get great field position, get points out of it, and certainly the turnover thing shows up. But at the end of the day, they grinded out in the fourth quarter against a pretty good team.
What point did you know you weren't going to have Miles today?
We're always just evaluating guys day to day, and those other guys are ready to go at all times. And I'm happy they got in there, made some good plays, ran the ball pretty well. Thought the line blocked pretty solid, and those guys aren't really the concern. It's always hard when you don't have your best player, but we have real good confidence in those other guys.
Was the plan to some limited touches for Savon, or was some of that because of the
well, those other two guys, have been playing well and practicing hard, and so we wanted to get those guys going. And Savon, when we did give him the ball, he did some things, and he's explosive and a hard guy to tackle, and I think that's a nice three-headed monster.
So 500 push-ups, is that that?
It might increase, but yes. We haven't had to deal with that for a while, but it'll be good to reiterate it.
You had him available. Why did you start McGrew? What was the situation there?
For who?
McGrew started at tailback?
Well, it doesn't matter to us who started. That means nothing. It just depends on the play that the offensive coordinator calls, because we have about 47 personnel groups, and they are in certain personnel groups, and so, we don't think of it like that.
Impact of not having Jalen in the first half and then having him come back in the second half? Well,
it's nice to have him. For sure. He's an experienced player that is a good player. So it's good to get him back out there. But, I thought the guys battled hard in there, and it was good to get some other guys in there. And we got Thule in there for a few plays, and we were planning on doing that all week. And so I think that kind of changes how guys practice. It's good to get him in there. We'll look at that on tape.
What was the talk at halftime, Chris, just given what had happened the first couple of quarters?
Not really. Not really. It's not really different than any of our halftimes. It's like, what do we think is going to work? What isn't going to work? What do we need to scratch off the game plan? And what do we need to do? And, so it's really always kind of the same. There's no need to, overreact. And, Pat, I think we were ahead at halftime. And we've been saying all week, this is a pretty good football team that, can do some things. And so, not expecting a hard, close game at halftime, that's not what we'd prepare for that all week.
In the first quarter, in general, did it feel like you kind of came out of the gates a little sluggish?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole game was a little bit different than maybe we anticipated. They're a tempo offense that really wasn't a lot of tempo going on. We really worked on that and practiced that. I don't know. It seems like a lot of the plans against us are to come in here and try to run the ball and keep it close in the fourth quarter, and I kind of think that's who we are. We kind of grind it out and, fourth quarter, try to make some things happen. So, proud that our guys got that done.
Along those lines, get that 12-play, 6-minute drive there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Feel like, obviously feel really good about it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I thought we had a good drive before that. We fumbled going into the end zone, It's kind of one of those games. But I thought Peyton did a nice job, doing what we asked him to do. He worked like that all week, didn't flinch, knew he was going to make those. And, seems like it's never like you think it's going to go. There's always little twists and turns. That's the game.
Coach, on the last touchdown to Aaron Fuller,
yeah.
He used to be a quarterback. Are you watching the game through a quarterback eyes? Did you see that all-out blitz coming, know what's going to the slant? Just what were you thinking?
Well, Jake's he's got a couple options on that, but when we saw it coming, the slant is for that. And so I was actually watching the protection and then saw the ball go out. I was making sure that we knew how many they were bringing, that he could get it out on time. And I don't think he saw the completion. I think he was on his back. But that's how it goes when they're going to bring everybody more than you have, and live by the sword, die by the sword.
What
you a little surprised that that cover zero came on a fourth down and felt like everything was on the line on that and they just wanted to go for it?
It seems like we're getting a lot of that. It seems like that's kind of a lot of the defensive, certainly in our league these days, that playing a lot of, there's certain blitzes that we just kind of keep seeing, and everybody seems to be trendy on certain things, and so we're seeing a lot of that.
What's the exact rule on the punch shield leaping thing?
You can't jump over a shield. You can't jump over it. And I didn't see him do it, but that's what they call jumping over a shield. Yeah. So
Games are kind of becoming routine for Ben Burke-Kirby.
yeah, they are. It's what he does. He does it in practice too. And I just always say, don't worry about that. We don't have to play against him on Saturday, and I'm glad because he makes plays all over practice as well. Shows up in the game, does the exact same thing. Yeah, he's a heck of a player.
Jake was talking about just the idea that the chip on the shoulder with guys like that, with, people say that Ben's too small or Jake doesn't have a big arm or Miles Bryant's too small, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Is that kind of symptomatic of just the way the whole team is right now in terms of having that chip on their shoulder?
I would hope, I think that's a good way to play, whatever it is, that you got something to prove always and you've never arrived and you're always trying to prove yourself, and those guys seem to do that.
You talked about the importance of keeping the ball away from their offense so they don't go on those long drives that they do. On that note, how big was it for that last touchdown to come on such a long drive to keep the ball away from them too?
Yeah, I think it was for sure added bonus without question. We weren't necessarily thinking slow it down. Sometimes when you think that or you go that mode, it changes the rhythm of the game. So he was just calling it and, taking yards that we could get, and it just so happened that we did eat up some clock and hold the ball from them, so it did work out good.
A first down run in that drive in the fourth quarter, 9 yards. Is that representative of how much he's improved in terms of going forward instead of sideways or back?
I think so. That was clutch. That was a big run. That was one of the bigger plays of the game, I thought. And he's usually fine when he's going forward. I mean, we can live with those things, even if it's a no gain or -1. But most of the time, it's going to be something really positive, whether he finds a guy or he takes off and run. And he's very effective when he does that. And that was a clutch play.
How big was that fourth down stop for you guys in the second half? Were you able to almost kind of flip the field on them?
Yeah, really big. We played well on fourth down. That was one of the key plays of the game. We weren't very good on third down on offense, but we were on fourth down. We were 2 for 2, and both those were huge. Both those were huge. We scored when we went forward early on fourth down, in that drive, and then we hit the one on fourth down. So, we've been really good on third downs overall, and we were pretty shaky here today, but the fourth down made it up. So,
did you see anything in the rush today defensively? I know Coach K talked this week about trying to get out of the third and shorts and maybe being able to pick yours back with some third and longer. Were you able to see some of that?
We saw some of that, but I thought Montez did a nice job of kind of getting out of some stuff. We kind of flushed him out of there, and we got good pressure on him, but he ran a couple times like Jake. Their games were kind of similar in terms of Jake and Montez, for sure. And I know how frustrating that is when Jake takes off on those guys. It was frustrating when you think you got him, and there he goes. But I think we're making some progress.
Having said that, you guys were able to keep him off from scoring in the second half, defensive-wise. How were you able to do that?
Yeah, that's good. One, the turnover. We did have a turnover, but it wasn't putting our defense in such a bad situation where that was the one thing that hurt us. And then the other thing, like I said, when we score a touchdown and we get an unsportsmanlike penalty, they get great field position, and that puts us a little bit of disadvantage. And but yeah, defense did a great job in the second half for sure.
Ryan Bowman had his best game on paper.
Who did?
Ryan Bowman. What did you see out of him getting the start with Jalen?
Yeah, Ryan works really hard. He's a guy, he brings it every day in practice. He really does. And always says he's kind of a curveball thrower. He's kind of awkward in terms of his rush style and all that. And, he was doing a great job, not only getting in tackles, but he was on the quarterback, pretty good as well. I think he, flushed him out of there. And if we had a little bit better contained, it could have been really, really good for us.
What did you make about Ahmed and his unsportsmanlike to him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just sometimes those things are just so shocking to me. They're probably shocking to him. That's not him at all. And he's one of the greatest guys on our team. It's like what do you do? And so, I mean, the emotion of the game can change things. We know that. Everybody gets emotional and changes things. And we try to talk to these guys about playing with great poise. But you got to play with energy. You got to play with passion. You got to play with emotion. And sometimes it happens.
You have two of their top guys out, and their offense looked quite a bit different than what we've seen earlier this year. What point do you realize that their offense is going to be different, or even notice that those guys aren't going to be playing?
Well, we certainly noticed when one of them wasn't out there right away. I mean, that guy's one of the better players in the league for sure, but one of the better players in the league on our team wasn't out there too, so it's even Steven.
Get a sense for how disappointed or how tough it was for Miles he's never missed a game before senior year to not be able to play for once.
Yeah. I know those guys are always disappointed. I mean, those, injuries and setbacks, I mean, it's not easy on those guys. They dump their heart and soul into this. And that's what they live to do, is play out there on Saturday. And, Miles has been amazing. I mean, he's played every game up to this point, and to get him this far is pretty good. We'll get him back soon.